Walking in Another World 119. I'm enveloped by a bright light, and when I'm able to see again, I'm in a place I've never seen before. I was on the train on my way to high school, but what is this place? In front of me is an old man that looks like a king, and he's trembling with excitement as he opens his arms widely in an exaggerated manner. Around him are a portly middle-aged man with a beard and people wearing armor who I assume are knights. The knights are lined up to the left and right and are looking this way cautiously. And around me are people wearing the same type of clothes as me. Boys and girls wearing school uniforms, suits, and casual clothing. There are 7 of us, 3 boys and 4 girls. Everyone seems confused, and some look worried. I don't remember answering anyone's call in the first place. You summoned us all on your own. The reason why is still a mystery. Where are we? And who are you? Someone wearing a school uniform steps forward and asks. One of the knights is about to make a move, but the old man raises his hand and stops him. This is the kingdom of Elysia, and I am its king. We have summoned you here by way of an otherworldly summoning passed down in our kingdom. He tells us a long and boring story. Basically, summoned heroes receive the blessing that is excellent skills, and they want us to use them to defeat the revived Demon King. The student asks if defeating said Demon King will let us return to our original world, and apparently that's possible if we use the Demon King's magic stone. I say apparently, because they make it very clear that they have only read in books that other heroes managed to go home. Well then heroes, chant status open, and show us your powers. I hear people whisper status open, and I do the same. A transparent panel appears in front of me, and it shows me stats like in a game. Name, Sora Fujimiya. Job, jobless. No level. HP, 10/10 MP, 10/10. Strength.1 Stamina.1 Agility.1 Magic Power.1 Dexterity.1 Luck.1 Skill, Walking, Effect. User won't get tired no matter how much they walk. So I'm a weak character. Can I even beat the weakest monsters? I was a student in that other world, but now I'm jobless. Is it because I didn't do anything? And what does no level even mean? Are you done checking? If so, touch this crystal one at a time. An old man wearing a robe that's standing next to the king points to a crystal on an extravagant pedestal. If you touch this crystal, everyone else can see your stats. Everyone goes up to it and touches it, one by one. The king, the old man, and everyone around them cheer every time. Master Swordsman, Sorcerer King, Paladin, Saint, Sword King, Spirit Mage. There are murmurs about those jobs, and people also sound surprised about their owners' levels. The highest one is level 50. And the lowest is level 30. Everyone has multiple skills too. You have 5 skills? What are you, a hero? I say to myself without even thinking. Reality is always harsh. The multiple eyes pointed my way with high expectations hurt, but I can't run away, so I take a few steps, and then resign myself and touch the crystal. There's something that sounds like static for a second, before my status panel is shown to everyone else like all the others. Everyone is at a loss for words, even the ones who were summoned here like me. It's like the wave of excitement is subsiding. What are these status and skills? Don't ask me. I demand a redo. The noise of people talking gets louder, and just as my weakness is about to break my heart, I see a line in the status panel I didn't see before. Skill, Walking, Effect. User won't get tired no matter how much they walk. Get 1 experience point with each step. Experience points, 21 1/1000ths. But when I look at the panel being displayed by the crystal, that line isn't there. Can I level up just by walking? But if I don't have a level, what are these experience points for? But still, that experience counter doesn't show 0, it shows 21. Did it count the steps I took towards the crystal? I don't remember how many steps I took, but that seems about right. As I think about this, I realize that suddenly everyone is quiet. I raise my head, look towards the king, and he turns away. Then I turn to the old man in the robe, and he does the same. Yes, it seems we have managed to summon 6 chosen heroes. Let us have a banquet to celebrate. This way, heroes. I guess I don't count. The people summoned along with me look awkward, turn away, or look concerned, but in the end, they're all taken away. They have good jobs and high levels, fighting skills to survive, but they lived in a society where they didn't need fighting techniques. They have no choice but to obey when they're surrounded by armed knights. One knight stays behind with me, and says come quietly before walking off without waiting for a response. As I expected, he's taking me outside the castle. We reach the gate, and another knight throws me a bag with gold coins as a parting gift. I open the bag to check, and see 2 gold coins. It really feels like there should be more considering the bag's size isn't too little anyway. I look at the knights, and see them grinning like they're making fun of me. As I think about how apparently there are idiots in every world, I figure it doesn't matter since I'm probably never going to see them again anyway, and head towards town. Before I know it, it's morning. Apparently I fell asleep as I was doing some thinking. I guess the environment change made me more exhausted than I thought. I walk to the window, and look at the city again. The capital of Elysia spreads out in a circle with its castle in the center. Closer to the middle are many imposing tall buildings, and as we get further from it, the smaller houses stand out. I see some clouds slowly floating in the still somewhat dark sky. Last night I looked up and saw 2 moons, which made me feel like I'm really in another world. I'm staying in a cheap inn close to the outskirts. It has 2 floors, and the first floor is a dining room. One night is costing me 10 bronze coins, breakfast and dinner included. It was originally a bit more, but I got a discount because I paid for 10 days straight. The owner looked annoyed when I went to pay with a gold coin, but when I told her it was all I had, she gave me the change. Some stores don't like it when people try to pay with gold coins, and I was told that I should have silver coins for stores, and bronze coins or coins with holes in the center for stalls. The Merchant Guild does currency exchange, but there is a handling charge for people not affiliated with it. For a second I wondered if 2 gold coins would be enough to pay for my lodging, but this is a pretty cheap inn. Also, it's good to have money if I'm going to have to live in this world. I never know when I might need something. The innkeeper told me there are coins with a hole in the middle, bronze coins, silver coins, gold coins, and platinum coins in this world. 1 bronze coin is worth 100 coins with a hole. 1 silver coin is worth 100 bronze coins. 1 gold coin is worth 100 silver coins. 1 platinum coin is worth 1,000 gold coins. Platinum coins are used by royalty, nobility, and the richest merchants, and the average person has probably never even seen one. I currently have 1 gold coin on 99 silver coins. 1 gold coin is actually enough for me to live for 6 months without doing anything. If I don't waste money, of course. The innkeeper told me all sorts of things while I ate. One thing particularly important is that I need identification when entering a town. Without it, I have to pay every time I go to a new place, and apparently some towns charge a lot. The innkeeper had a surprised look on her face when I told her I didn't know about this. She must think it's strange that I didn't know, because she figures I must have gone through an entrance at some point. If I'm here now to get identification, you need to join a guild or something. The common one is the Adventurer Guild. Everyone is accepted as long as they pay, even if they have no special skills. There's also the Alchemist Guild, Chemist Guild, Merchant Guild, Mage Guild, and more, but they won't accept people as full-fledged members if they don't have specific skills. I chant status open in my head, and open the status panel. After trying some things yesterday, I learned that I don't have to vocalize that incantation to open it. I also walked around town for a bit after coming to the inn, and learned a few things. Name, Sora Fujimiya. Job, jobless. No level. HP, 40 tenths. MP, 40 tenths. Strength. 30, +1. Stamina. 30, +1. Agility. 30, +1. Magic power. 30, +1. Dexterity. 30, +1. Luck. 30, +1. Skill, walking LV3. Effect, user won't get tired no matter how much they walk. Get 1 experience point with each step. Experience points, 452 4,000ths. Skill points, 2. Skills learned. Appraisal LV2. All sorts of things improved. The experience counter is working as described. and the number has been increasing as I walk. When it reaches a certain number, I level up. All stats increased by 10 when I leveled up, and now it shows +1. Is that a correction value based on the job? That's my best guess. Also, I can use one skill point to learn the skills in the skill field. I don't know if I can take these back after I used them, so I learned appraisal just to check and because it seems useful, and left the rest. As for skills I learned, I figure there's two ways to level them up. The first is to just choose skill points. I would have had to use 2 skill points to bring appraisal up to level 2, and I don't know if there's a limit. The second is by increasing proficiency. Proficiency increases as I use the skill, and makes the skill level up when it reaches a certain point. I tried leveling up appraisal like this, and the amount of proficiency it needs also increases with each level up. Proficiency didn't go up when I tried to appraise the same thing multiple times, but it did when I left an hour gap between appraisals. Then I checked to see how many skill points it would take to bring it up to level 3, since I brought it up to level 2 with proficiency, and it turns out I need 3. I guess that means the necessary points are relative to the level. But the most notable thing is really that I'm jobless. When I tried to use appraisal on my job, it showed me all sorts of jobs I could choose, but they were all gray, just like the skills I haven't learned, and I can't pick any of them. When I use appraisal on the gray letters, nothing happens. Is my appraisal level too low? Or is it just that I can't use appraisal on them at all? It's too bad, because if I knew what I needed to change jobs, I could learn skills more effectively with it in mind. That's pretty much all I learned yesterday, and now my stomach is growling. The sun is rising, and I'm starting to see people walk around on the street. My breakfast is bread, a thin meat that looks like bacon, salad, and soup. Unlike the dinner I ate last night, it's pretty plain and light on salt. I hear dinner is saltier in part to replenish the salt spent during the day. It feels like the ingredients are presented as they are and without seasoning, and I can't say it tastes good. The bread is tough too, so I eat it by letting it soak in the soup. I eat silently while listening to conversations around me. Most people staying here are adventurers or merchants. Adventurers talk to their partners about what requests to accept, and merchants keep each other in check as they talk about what will sell and what has no hope of turning a profit. I heard more useful information last night when the drunk adventurers talked about their adventures, and end up not hearing anything the innkeeper didn't already tell me. I guess that's all I'm getting by eavesdropping, and I'm not brave enough to jump between those adventurers and start asking questions either. It seems common sense doesn't apply to drunks. Maybe that's just prejudice on my part. After I finish eating, I go back to my room and take a breather, and leave the inn after killing some time. As I leave, I'm asked by the innkeeper what she should do, since I'm staying here for several days, and I ask her to just change my sheets. I should go ask questions first. I'm noticing that I've been talking to myself a lot more lately, and decide to go to the guilds I looked into before. Asking questions is free, so I make plans to go to the Alchemist Guild, Chemist Guild, Merchant Guild, and Adventurer Guild. I go around them in order as I walk around town. I learned that those affiliated with the Alchemist Guild or Chemist Guild have a duty to provide certain goods every month. For the Alchemist Guild, it's items transmuted by that person, and for the Chemist Guild, it's either a certain amount of potions or items of the same category. People affiliated with the Merchant Guild have to pay a monthly membership fee. Also, people have to register with the guild if they're going to do business. If they don't, and start trading on their own, a lot of pressure is put on them, the worst of which being that a directive will go out to bar them from doing business, making it so they can't buy or sell goods. The registration fee is 1 silver coin, and the monthly fee is 1 silver coin minimum. But that's only the minimum, as people rank up depending on how much they pay, and receive more benefits as they rank up. For example, they receive priority in business involving rare items. The Merchant Guild also buys monster materials and items, which leads me to question if this doesn't overlap with what the Adventurer Guild also does. But apparently that's not a problem, and I'm politely told it's actually a system put in place to prevent a monopoly, and stop prices from skyrocketing. A pass that lets people enter and exit towns freely only costs 1 silver coin. Isn't that pretty cheap? The last guild I visit is kind of what I figure is the right choice for me, the Adventurer Guild. To be perfectly honest, I have no good feelings towards this country, so I think I want to leave eventually. And I imagine I'm going to be at least somewhat strong. This is a fantasy world with skills and magic. On Earth, if I went abroad, there were dangerous places where public order was so bad that my life could even be at risk. But this world is actually even more dangerous. It was unthinkable in Japan, but here, a lot of people carry deadly weapons around as they go about their daily lives, and anyone can have them. I don't really know the social etiquette of this world, but if something happens that causes someone to attack me or a fight to break out, it could turn very ugly. Welcome to the Adventurer Guild. Is this your first time here? I heard that this place is packed early in the morning, as people scramble to accept requests, so I avoided that time period. Now the place is almost empty. But it's not like it's completely deserted. There are people gathered in the place here in the guild where people can eat and drink, and someone is talking to a receptionist. I focus my ears on those two, and it feels like he's hitting on her. I say yes, it is my first time here, and she tells me her name is Makaru and she's 15. She's been a receptionist in this guild for a year, and she's saying she's happy she's graduated from being a newbie. But what about the guild? I try to get the conversation back on track. There are 6 adventurer ranks, S, A, B, C, D, and D. S being the highest, and D being the lowest. To go up in rank, one has to complete requests, and failure to complete them comes with a penalty. But adventurers can only rank up normally up to rank A. To be elevated to rank S, they have to complete a few designated quests, and receive a recommendation from the guild master. As adventurers rank up, they can accept more difficult quests, and receive higher rewards. It's all about high risk and high reward. Rank also affects the period of time when one has to complete a quest. If one fails to complete a quest for a certain period of time, they will be demoted if they are rank D or above, or lose their status in the guild if they are rank E. For example, rank E adventurers have to at least complete a quest once every 30 days. They can register again, but the registration fee will be high. If this happens a few times, it will be deemed that they aren't really serious about this, and their registration will be rejected. The number of times this has to happen before they're rejected isn't clear, and apparently it varies from guild to guild. I ask if that means they can just reapply in another adventurer guild, but it doesn't look like it's that easy. When you are ready to accept a quest, bring one here from the wall over there and so we can process it. Report regular quests here, and go to the purchasing counter to settle matters related to materials. Is there anything you don't understand? About quests to defeat monsters. Do I bring the monsters here without taking them apart? It depends on the monster. There are some we won't buy, but as for parts that can be used as materials, we will subtract a fee from your reward if we need to take the monsters apart. We also charge a disposal fee for some monsters, so be careful about that, like goblins, and goblins. Does she have a grudge against goblins? I ask myself if I have any further questions, and decide it's enough for now. Then I wonder if I should register with the Adventurer Guild. But since there are safe, low-paying quests that can be completed here in town, I decide to register. This won't be enough for me to make a living once I run out of money, but these quests are pretty convenient for me, so I can't complain. After paying the registration fee, 3 silver coins, I put a drop of blood on a card put out in front of me. If I didn't pay this fee now, it would have been taken from my rewards when I started working. The card sucks in my blood, shines for a second, and turns black. After I'm handed the card, it turns white after a while. When the person registered to it holds the card, the color changes depending on the holder's rank. If I lose this card, I can ask for a reissue, but I'll have to pay for it. 10 silver coins to be exact, so I better make sure I hold on to it. While Makaru is explaining all this to me, a man boldly makes a move on the receptionist next to us. I didn't mention it before, but all the receptionists here are beautiful. On Earth, They could all be idols. The men on the other hand are all rugged like bandits. I haven't seen any good-looking guys, at least not in the guild. I've seen some in town, walking alongside women. As I get up from my seat, another guy immediately slides into it and starts talking. It's not about quests or anything either. He's inviting her to go have a meal together. I guess it's almost lunchtime, but I go accept a few quests. The man is shut down and leaves, and I return to Makaru to hand her the documents for the quests. I was worried that maybe I couldn't accept multiple quests at the same time, but some of them don't have to be completed today, so it's fine. These delivery-type quests range from 5 coins with a hole to 10. That's really not a lot. I don't know when these quests were even put out, so I can't help but feel like it would be quicker if the person that put them out did them themselves. I start to consider that they might be here as a way to help novice adventurers, but they're actually harder than I expected. Carrying heavy packages and walking from one corner of town to another would be pretty exhausting for a normal person. Walking from one corner to the other is easily over 10,000 steps. But it's no problem for me, as my skill makes it so walking never makes me tired. These quests actually let me kill 2 birds with one stone, since I'm making money and earning experience points. And since my stats also increase as I level up, maybe that's actually 3 birds. The rewards are really low though. For a while, I follow the routine of studying in the guild library in the morning, and accepting delivery quests when I'm done with that. 5 delivery quests aren't enough to even pay for one night in the inn, so if I just keep going like this, I'm going to run out of money eventually. I start thinking about material collection quests. These aren't about monster materials, but rather things like medicinal herbs and materials used for alchemy. I've been studying them in a library, and at the very least I remember what they look like, so I'm not worried about that, especially since I can use appraisal to know what things are right away. Now I just need to look into where to get them. Depending on the materials, I might have to go to the forest, which puts me at risk of being attacked by monsters. I guess this is the time to get my equipment in order. I take the day off from accepting quests, and go out shopping for equipment. People are actually worried about me because I've been accepting quests without so much as a day off. I was told that resting one's body is part of an adventurer's job, and the person saying it seemed pretty serious about it too. It's true though. No adventurer diligently accepts quests every day like this. Some diligently hit on the girls every day though. I stop by a weapon shop that actually sells defensive equipment too. This place has a good reputation, and the owner is a former adventurer that seems like he'll be kind enough to give me good advice. This store was actually recommended to me when I was accepting delivery quests. "Welcome. What are you looking for?" he calls out to me while I look at weapons. Is it because there's no one else here? His attitude is more modest than his burly physique would suggest. "I'm a rookie adventurer, sir. I was thinking about going outside to collect materials, so I'm here looking for equipment." He's looking at me like he's evaluating me. My stats have been going up, so I feel like saying I'm not the same as I was before, but my appearance didn't change at all, so I can't deny it if someone says I look unreliable. Compared to other adventurers, I'm thin and short. I would be average on Earth, and my body can be best described by saying there's nothing worth describing. I can't say I have any real muscle either. Do you have any weapons and equipment in mind? Can you use magic? And don't feel like you need to be so polite. I was thinking about buying a sword, and as for the equipment, I think I want something light that's easy to move in. But I don't want to get hurt, so I want something that protects me from pain too. That's a tough order. A one-handed sword should be good. As for the rest, do you want monster skin clothing or a breastplate? The clothing would be cheaper and easier to move in, so the clothing is better. I guess I should also get a knife to strip away materials and a bag for them. I tell him I also want protection for the back of my hands that won't hinder my movements, and boots fit to walk in the forest. I also mention that my budget is 1 gold coin. He's surprised that a novice has that much to spend, but I respond that I don't want to be stingy with what could save my life. I put an emphasis on the fact that I'm willing to use everything I have, to try to get a discount. In the end, I managed to get some pretty nice equipment. The monster skin clothes in particular are stab-proof, and have a damage-reducing effect. It's not like that makes me want to take damage anymore, but it's nice to be prepared. Are you sure? I ask, about the discount, but he wishes me good luck with a smile on his face. People in the castle were trash, but a lot of the regular people here in town are kind and friendly. I thank him, and exit the weapon store. I borrow the inn's backyard to do some light sword swings. I've never handled a sword before, but strangely enough, I don't feel uncomfortable and I can swing it pretty smoothly. Is this the blessing of the skill? I've learned a few more acquired skills. Appraisal LV4, Appraisal Obstruction LV4, Sword Master LV1, Physical Strengthening LV4, Presence Detection LV3, Magic Energy Control LV3, Basic Daily Life Magic LV3. Everything except for Appraisal Obstruction has been leveled up via proficiency. I used skill points to level up Appraisal Obstruction because its proficiency wouldn't increase no matter what I did. I leveled up Appraisal Obstruction because I figured that since I learned Appraisal, other people can learn it too. But even with my appraisal skill at level 3, I still can't use it on people. Maybe I was too quick to spend skill points on Appraisal Obstruction, but then again, there might be more items that have the appraisal effect like that crystal. I told myself that if I left it alone and others used it on me, I wouldn't be able to take it back. I guess I just need to walk more and earn back the skill points I spent. As for appraisal itself, I won't know what happens unless I level it up a little more. I'll just keep using it on things and wait patiently for it to level up by itself. Sword Master is a skill that improves my handling of a sword. I tried to swing a sword without it at first, but it didn't go well, so I learned it. I can level it up just by swinging a sword. Physical Strengthening gains proficiency when I push my body to its limits, but if I go overboard, I'll end up with bad muscular pain. I learned that lesson the hard way when I was testing how much weight I can lift. Presence Detection is exactly what it sounds like, a skill to detect others' presences around me. Leveling up increases its range, and makes it so I can sense things more deeply. At level 1 it was just a faint feeling, but I'm starting to feel more what kind of presence it is. Magic Energy Control allows me to feel the magic energy on my body. This isn't really that useful by itself, but it makes it so I don't waste magic energy when I activate magic. Basic Daily Life Magic includes different kinds of magic like purification and fire starter. Apparently there are baths in this world, but in cheap inns all you get is a wet towel to scrub your body. It's not an exaggeration to say I learned this one just to wash myself. Fire starter will also be useful when I start working outside of town. I leave the city, and while I'm expecting to return before lunch, I'm a careful guy, so I don't forget to bring preserved food with me. It wasn't good when I tried it before, so I'd rather not have to depend on it. I haven't seen you before. Are you an adventurer? I'm going outside for the first time, because I accepted a medicinal herb picking quest. I see. You shouldn't say the contents of the quests you accepted. You never know who might be listening. Also, the forest in the outskirts should be fine, but monsters sometimes wander in, so be careful. I pass through the gate and follow the road for about 30 minutes. Until I see a forest to my left and head that way. There's a river flowing through the forest, and medicinal herbs grow near its banks. I see there are others who come here to pick medicinal herbs, because there's a trampled path that makes it easier to walk through the forest. I walk carefully with presence detection active, but don't feel any living beings around me. I walk for another 30 minutes, and reach the medicinal herbs I'm here for. I use appraisal to only pick medicinal herbs in good condition, and pick magic energy herbs that are mixed in here too. I can't forget vitality and detoxing herbs too, but I heard that it's common courtesy to leave some, because if I pick too much there won't be any left. Still, I think I got a good amount. This is what appraisal is all about. There are simple herbs mixed in here too, so it would be necessary to memorize the herbs' shapes in order to not pick them by mistake. Also, freshness is important, so withered and immature herbs get a bad evaluation. In some cases, They might not even count and be discarded altogether. I put the herbs in the bag made specifically to preserve their freshness. I get up, as I'm thinking it's time to go back, and my presence detection picks up something. 6 presences coming this way, and moving very fast. I hide while making sure to pay attention to the presences. Just as I'm done hiding, I see 6 things jumping out. 2 people and 4 monsters. Are the monsters wolves? I read that they're very agile and hard to take down, but if one can deal with that speed, they're not much of a threat. One of the 2 people steps forward with twin swords in hand, and the other is holding a staff, and steps back. The person holding the staff is breathing heavily. A wolf jumps at the person with the twin swords, who skillfully evades it. The twin swords owner is about to use that opportunity to strike, but another wolf gets in the way. I thought the one holding the staff would support the other, but that person is still just trying to catch their breath. I figured their opponents were just too fast, but apparently that's not it. The one holding the staff is using it to support their body. It takes me a second to think, and another one to act. As a wolf is starting to jump, I throw my knife used to take monsters apart. The wolf can't dodge in midair, and the knife pierces it. It's just luck. After I got lucky with my sneak attack, I swing my sword at another one, whose movements have been dulled. It feels like I got it, and after checking that it's not moving, I look for my next prey. But what I see are 3 wolves lying on the ground, and the twin swords user standing tall. Now that I really think about what I did, I realize it was pretty reckless. I don't know what would have happened to those 2 if I did nothing, but I've been warned before that stepping in and taking others' prey can cause problems, so I should be careful about that. Did I overstep my boundaries in a way? Sorry. I guess I should just apologize. The twin swords user looks a bit surprised, but awkwardly laughs after realizing what I'm talking about. You saved us when we were in a pinch. Don't worry about it. Now that things have calmed down, I realize she's a girl. She has evenly cut silver hair that reaches down to her shoulders, and her red eyes are looking at me with interest. But I'm a guy, so my eyes naturally go a bit below her face, even though I was trying not to let them do that. The adventurer holding a staff is also a girl. The face I see as she takes off her hood seems young, especially with her blonde twin tails flowing in the wind. Her body is small, and she looks like she has a great future ahead of her. Thank you. She speaks like she's whispering, and bows. How do you divide the spoils in a situation like this? I'm a new adventurer, so I don't really know the rules very well. They look surprised. Why is that? It's pretty hard for a novice to take down a wolf, and you did it so easily too. I've actually only been an adventurer for 10 days. I'm only here for a quest to collect medicinal herbs. I think I only took it down because my weapon is good. The sword pierced the wolf without much resistance. Thank you for the good weapon, old man. Thinking back to the feeling of the sword piercing the meat makes my hands shake. It was a monster, but I did kill a living being. Are you alright? Suddenly, I realize the twin tails are swaying right in front of me. I look down, and my eyes meet their owners. The surprise makes me take a step back, and I try to disguise how flustered that made me. What do we do with this? I've never taken apart a wolf or anything. I know the necessary parts and materials, because I looked over some documents. I'm pretty sure I remember how they're supposed to be taken apart too. But even though they're monsters, taking them apart might make me throw up. Now that the adrenaline is wearing off, it's hard to even look at blood, because I'm not used to it. Of course we will take them apart. We don't want to throw money away. I can teach you if want, she says with a grin, like she saw right through me. I might as well do it. It will tell me if I can do this sort of thing from now on too. But first, we introduce ourselves. The twin swords user's name is Rurika, and the magic user with the staff introduces herself as Chris. I don't know if she's reserved or wary, but she's standing a step further away than Rurika. But apparently, sometimes she does things without even thinking. Before, when she suddenly approached me, it was probably because her concerns surpassed her wariness. At least that's what Rurika tells me. Rurika, go rest for a bit. You haven't recovered your magic energy yet, have you? Chris sits down and tries to compose her breath, just like Rurika says. And then she suddenly pulls her hood over her head, like she just remembered it. She had to push herself too much when we were running. There are probably a lot more dead wolves in the forest. It looks like we have to give up on this one. We chat while she tells me how to take the wolves apart. They're a D-ranked adventurer duo that accepted a quest to retrieve some killer bee honey, but encountered a pack of wolves on the way. They managed to throw the whole pack into disarray with magic, but some left the others to chase them. Chris managed to take some down with magic as they ran, but ran out of magic energy, so they ended up leading the wolves here. I ask if it wouldn't be worse to take them on in an open space like this, and she says she was planning to hang on until Chris recovered some magic energy. She also tells me that fighting wolves in the forest is actually tougher. She's more than good enough to take on a wolf if it's alone, even if they're in the forest, but it's different if several attack at the same time. They use the trees well to attack. It looks like our honey quest is a failure. We can't get it with a pack of wolves nearby. But is the guild going to let it go without a penalty? And we're so close to rank C2. Apparently, depending on the scale, dealing with a pack of wolves can be a ranks B job. When they form packs, there's even a small chance that a unique variant will be born, and if that happens, the difficulty level shoots up. And I guess this is more or less how you take wolves apart. I did a good job, not throwing up. Let's just not talk about how it turned out. There's a first time for everyone. Coming back with a flower in each hand. Where did you go to hit on girls? Just do your job. Shouldn't you ask us for our guild cards first to check if we can go in? Is that the first thing you say when people get here? I silently hand him my guild card, and the gatekeeper checks it without complaining. Isn't being too friendly a problem? Is he just bored because no one else is here right now? Is he actually just jealous because he's single? It's not like we're close or anything. The two girls silently enter the city too. Let's go to the Adventurer Guild first. We'll thank you for helping us afterwards. We enter the guild together, and I feel a lot of eyes on us. I've been here a few times, but this never happened before. Are we drawing attention because we're a strange group? There's nothing wrong about that, so I wish the death stares would stop. See you later, says Rurika, seemingly not bothered at all, and I feel the atmosphere here get worse. And I just accepted a simple quest too. I have the medicinal herbs. I deliver the medicinal herbs I picked to Mikaru. The quest is about delivering a set of 10 medicinal herbs, so if I deliver more sets of 10, it's like I completed more quests. This type of medicinal herb is used to make potions, so there's always an active quest to gather them. This means that if I accept a quest to take down 10 wolves, but take down 30, it still only counts as that one quest to take down 10. Of course, magic stones and materials can still be sold. Why were those two with you? So someone's curious over here too. Her eyes are brimming with interest. I was in the place that was recommended to me to pick medicinal herbs, and we bumped into each other when they were being chased by wolves. Chased by wolves? Makaru sounds surprised, because she knows the duo of Rurika and Chris is pretty strong. The adventurers that are listening in on our conversation also look surprised, and the guild suddenly becomes noisy. Guild employees that are talking to Rurika and Chris run to the back of the guild, and after a while come back with a man. The adventurers all go quiet when they see him, and everyone's eyes are drawn to this man. Can you explain it to me again? His demeanor is soft, but his eyes are sharp. In the completely silent guild, Rurika's voice echoes, and when she's done talking, the guild becomes noisy again. There's a pack of wolves in the forest relatively close to the city. This is dangerous for adventurers and requires special attention, especially since that forest is visited by a lot of novice adventurers looking for medicinal herbs. The man stands up and starts giving instructions. A few parties that were taking a break here in the guild also request to participate, and some guild employees run outside to alert the other guilds and contact the gatekeepers. We can leave the rest to the guild master. Let's go sell the wolves. Rurika comes to me after she's done talking, and the three of us go to the purchasing counter. No one is looking at us anymore, even though we're walking together. Was that information that shocking? Everyone seems busy. I'm guessing they're happy because they know why we're together in the first place too. As I expected, they assess the materials and tell me the materials from the wolves I took apart are bad. I try to tell myself it's normal for a beginner, to encourage myself. I receive half the reward for the materials. I ask them why we're not splitting it 3 ways, but Rurika tells me not to worry about it. She says a beginner should just take what he can, and that they'll buy me dinner to thank me. I go back to the inn, leave my equipment there, and head to an inn they told me about. But before I leave, I make sure to tell the innkeeper I'm not eating here tonight. If I tell her ahead of time, I get a free lunch some other day, since I'm skipping dinner. I was told this after coming back to the inn to have lunch while I was doing delivery quests. Apparently the fact that I'm paying for multiple days in a row has an effect on this too. I think she feels like if she gives me perks like this, I'll pay for multiple nights straight again. She has a strong merchant spirit. I reach the inn I was told about, and stop abruptly. Part of it is because it's close to the center of the city, I guess, but it's completely different from the inn I'm staying in. The outer walls are all painted, and the whole place exudes cleanliness. The first floor is a dining hall, but all the tables are neatly lined up, and there's enough space between them. I feel like it wouldn't be cramped even if the place was full. When I say why I'm here, I'm taken to a private room. After waiting for a bit, Rurika and Chris enter too. Chris is still wearing her hood. Thanks for waiting. I ordered some food, but is there anything you want to eat or can't eat? I don't really understand, so I leave it to them. If I don't like it, I'll think about it then. I'm not going to get anything out of the menu either. There's a lot of ingredients in this world I still don't understand. Thank you for today. Cheers, says Rurika, and we start eating. I haven't seen any of this stuff, and one bite is enough to surprise me with how good it is. It's simply good. Everything has its own characteristic flavor, and it was clearly made with the enjoyment of the eater in mind. It's good. Those words leak out of my mouth. It's my first time eating something in this world that rivals what I ate in the world I came from. At first I eat carefully, but before I know it, I'm wolfing it down. I hear laughter, and when I raise my head, I see Chris laughing. She undid her twintails, so her hair is flowing down. She looks mature at first glance, but once she starts laughing, she looks young again. She notices me looking at her, and flusteredly looks towards Rurika like she's asking for help. Rurika starts talking, and she sounds almost exasperated. I'm glad you like it. I chose this inn because it's said to be good even by the standards of the capital. Even though an additional charge must be paid to eat this, it's probably worth the price, although I'm scared to ask what it is. And I actually wanted to eat more normal food anyway. We finish eating, and start chatting. First, I hear that they didn't receive a penalty for failing to complete their honey-gathering quest, and then we talk more about their work as adventurers. I want to know more about what adventurers do, but I also learned that they came from a different country. They were adventurers in their home country until they were promoted to rank D, and then they moved from country to country while accepting escorting quests. We're from the Republic of Eldo. It was a nice place. I've heard that the Republic of Eldo is a country where humans and demi-humans live together. In this world, demi-humans are races like beast people, elves, and dwarves. This really is a fantasy world. Races that were only imaginary where I came from are normal here. I haven't met any yet, but there could be at least one that's an adventurer. There are 7 big countries in this world. The Borshal Empire, which touts human supremacy and denounces others as evil. The Kingdom of Elysia, where the idea that humans are superior is common. The Republic of Eldo, where many races live together. The Beast Kingdom of Laith, ruled by the Beast People's King. The Holy Kingdom of Friar, where people worship a goddess. The Magic State of Ifar, where those who research sorcery gather. The Dragon Kingdom of Hafer, a country of people that worship dragons. There have been small wars throughout history, but there hadn't been any major wars between countries in 100 years. But 10 years ago, the Borshal Empire declared war on the Republic of Eldo, and war broke out. It wasn't too large at first, but eventually all 7 large countries got involved. Attacking countries, defending countries, countries that stuck to neutrality. The world was being exhausted, but the war had no end in sight. But 3 years ago, in the Holy Kingdom of Friar, it started with a holy woman, and then the chief priest received a divine message from the goddess. The Demon King has returned. Loved ones, join forces and fight. At first, rulers dismissed this as nonsense, but when well-coordinated monsters started appearing, a ceasefire was called to drive them back. They are still coming from a dark forest called Demon Forest, and attacking nearby kingdoms. Were you born here, Sora? Your equipment is pretty good for a beginner, so were you actually born to a good family? No, I came from a place a little far away to make a living as an adventurer. I saved money, learned how to fight, and I want to go around and see the world. I'm not really interested in that Demon King. It doesn't even feel real to me, and I have no reason to hate it or anything. If I really want to dig for a reason, I guess it's the Demon King's fault I was summoned to this world. But those people in the castle irritate me the most. I wouldn't fight even if they begged me. Still, it's not like I don't want to become powerful in this world. I'd be lying if I said I don't want power. I might actually become powerful one day because of this skill. I think part of it is because I want to be better than those people too. See the world. That's a funny motive. Is it? I'm pretty serious about it. I see. Rurika is staring at me while I talk. It feels like she's sizing me up, like she's probing for something. What are you doing tomorrow? I assume you're going to rest after completing a quest. I'm probably going to be checking the delivery quests. Delivery quests? Are you the delivery man people have been talking about? Delivery man? I ask her what she means, and apparently adventurers have been talking about this weird person that's been silently going around doing delivery quests no one wants to do. It's safe here in town, and I'm new here, so I figured it was a good way to remember the streets and paths. Walking around helps me remember where stores are, and remembering paths can be useful if I ever need an escape route. You've been doing those hard quests. Incredible. Their honest praise tickles, but it was partially because of my skill, and also because I wasn't brave enough to leave the city. It's probably fate or something that we met, so how about we accept a quest together? I just became an adventurer, you know, and didn't you say you're almost C rank? We'll get there once we complete a few more quests. What do you think, Chris? I think it's fine. See, honestly, the two of us have been completing quests, but it can be a bit tough for two people to handle stuff like what happened today. I'm sure there's plenty or people out there that will join your party. Thinking back, those stares that I got when we entered the guild were all about jealousy. We have been approached, but I didn't feel the same spark that I feel right now. Not to mention that they all seem to have ulterior motives, and Chris didn't feel good about them either. In a way, it can't be helped. They're clearly good looking, and after talking to them, it becomes clear that their personalities match their looks. Rurika is cheerful and easy to talk to, and while Chris isn't proactive in starting conversations, there's a strange aura about her that makes me feel at ease just by having her around. I might be wrong, because I basically just met them, but that's how I feel. Also, as your seniors, we can teach you all sorts of things about being an adventurer, and we can do mock fights to practice fighting. You have a sharp slash, but the way you swung your sword felt off, like the sword was swinging you. I'm an amateur when it comes to using a sword. I'm basically using it in a sort of forced way with the skill. These conditions seem too good for me. I feel like there has to be a catch. But this is also a good chance. I want to know the basics of fighting. I thought about putting out a quest with the guild, but I'd need money for that. Alright, I'll give it a shot. You're not going to stay in this country forever, are you? Then I'll be with you for the time being. Yes, we're thinking about looking for a nice escorting quest when we reach C rank, and moving. Anyway, give me half your date tomorrow. There's somewhere I want to go, and so, the plan for tomorrow is to accept delivery quests in the morning, and meet her in the afternoon. I go to the guild early in the morning, and it really is crowded. A lot of people are looking at the quests affixed to the wall, and some are even fighting over specific quests. No one's in front of the delivery quests. I check the details, and take 3 to the reception. I'm glad it's not as crowded over here. I finish the quests in the morning, just as I expected. My walking skill is level 20, and I have 4 spare skill points. What should I learn? Healing magic? Offensive magic? I don't know what kind of magic I can learn, so I should look into it first. Sorry I kept you waiting. I go where we agreed to meet, and Rurika is waiting for me by herself. Alright, let's go. Chris stayed back, because it looks like she's still tired. She's not the best at running around like that. Rurika then takes me to the store where I bought all my equipment. Hello young lady. And the lad that bought all that equipment from me. Is there a problem with anything I sold? We're here today because we need weapons for a mock fight. Do you have anything good? I have swords with busted tips and wooden swords. Which one? The wooden swords are cheaper. Can you adjust the weight? Of course. As a freebie Tilda. I can't win against you. A one-handed sword and twin swords then? We leave, and head to a training area here in town. It's mostly used by guards, but other people can use it too if there's room. There's one in the Adventurer Guild too, but I guess we would stand out too much there. Luckily, there is an open space in the corner, so that's where we'll do our mock fighting. First, I get to lecture on the basics of how to swing a sword and fight. Then we fight, and she points out what I'm doing wrong, and I repeat while trying to correct it. Clashing swords with another person really is better than just doing practice swings. Proficiency increases faster too. One thing that's particularly good is that when I attack someone instead of just doing practice swings, I have to take my opponent's movements into consideration, so I'm using my head as well as my body. We keep going for a while, and when it's over, I'm so tired I can't stand up. Rurika is fine, she's not even out of breath. Is this because of the experience gap between us? We were going at it pretty hard too, so I have a lot of bruises. At first, some people looked over here with interest and jealousy, as they saw me training with a girl, but as the exchange of blows intensified, their stares turned into pity. Well, you did pretty good for the first day. And don't forget to carry that with you when you're going around doing quests. I want to train when you have the time. Ah, but if you don't want to carry that around, you can use a real sword. Which one do you prefer? A wooden sword, obviously. I'm not brave enough to swing a real sword at another person. A wooden sword can cause a lot of damage too, depending on where it hits, but it still feels completely different. Let's go look for a quest tomorrow. I hope there are quests to take down monsters, but if there aren't we'll figure something out then. I get up, and use purification magic, both on me and on Rurika. At first she's really happy, and then she sulks because she says it's not fair that I can use magic. Rurika mumbles in front of a quest document. I look over her shoulder, and see it's a quest from a nearby village about taking down goblins. Goblins are seen as the weakest monsters, along with slime. Those two are classic examples of monsters novice adventurers fight first, but the only materials that can be harvested from them are magic stones, so they're not worth much. However, they're seen as low-risk monsters that are good to build experience. This quest has been here for 5 days, and no one has accepted it. The reason is simple. The village is 3 days away by foot, and 1 day by wagon. But the cost of renting a wagon would be pretty much the same as the reward for completing the quest, and whoever accepts it could even end up losing money. It's not a problem for people with their own wagon, but most people who do are higher-rank adventurers, who aren't going to go out of their way to hunt goblins. It would be perfect if a horseback just happened to pass there. But walking for 3 days. Is there a problem? Camping is a hassle in itself. But someone would have to keep watch at all times, meaning we wouldn't rest very well. It was really tough when the two of us walked for 10 days. We didn't have money back then, Rurika says while looking into the distance. I probably shouldn't ask any more about that. Would it still be tough with 3 people? I don't have a lot of experience camping, so I honestly don't know. The experience I do have is from camping by myself in the real world. Back then, I pitched my tent and slept on dedicated sites, so I didn't have to worry about anything dangerous. That means the situation is completely different. All the tools I used were ones that were very easy to use too. I don't even know how high the probability of countering monsters on the side of the main road is. It would be a little easier with 3 people. And it would be a good experience that doubles as training. It's still warm, so a robe would probably be enough to sleep at night. We probably won't encounter many monsters if we travel by the main road, so if we watch out for bandits. Rurika mumbles to herself, and Chris talk about something, before declaring they want to accept the quest. "This one please." Are the three of you going to accept it together?" "Yes, yes. I want to teach this newbie here how to be an adventurer." I say that smugly, but it's partially to repay him for helping us before too. "I see. Then I will fill out the paperwork accordingly." "It looks like there won't be a problem. We'll buy what we need today and leave tomorrow." "We have to inform Arons too. We don't know when we'll be back, so we should cancel our stay. I'm sure they'll at least kind of understand if we explain the reason." We buy food and healing potions, and check if we have everything we need to camp. If anything is missing, we have to buy it. Healing potions are surprisingly expensive, but I guess they're cheap if I think about it as buying things that might save my life. We buy monster repellent too, but we're not planning to use it. We're taking it with us just in case. As for food, we buy things that will keep for a while, and since Ruruka and Chris have simple cookware, that's what we'll be using. I just have to buy tableware for myself. We still have some time after we're done, so we go to the training area. This time, Chris is doing some exercise too, but suffice to say, most of the time she's just watching. We don't spend a lot of time here, because we don't want to be tired tomorrow, and leave after agreeing to meet up early tomorrow in front of the gate. I'm going back to the inn with some bruises again today. It's a great morning to leave the city. Ruruka is already fired up. Isn't she going to be too enthusiastic and get tired on the way? "Oh, are you going out today?" says the gatekeeper, as he looks at our camping equipment. I nod, show him my guild card, and exit the city. We're not going to get lost walking near the main road, but I don't see anyone else going in this direction. According to Ruruka, since the forest where the wolves appeared is in the same direction as the village, people are avoiding going that way unless they really have to. Still, the wolves are deep in the forest, so there's little chance that they'll come this way. It's in their nature to live in the forest, so they're not coming out unless they have no food or lost a turf war. We walk along the road without any problems or really anything noteworthy. We just keep walking silently as the scenery in front of us doesn't change. Having that said, as we slowly walk away from the forest where the wolves are, I feel relieved somehow. Ruruka says it's fine, but I can tell she's cautious too. We don't push ourselves too much, and take several breaks as we walk. It's also important to keep ourselves hydrated. We have to be careful, since if we keep walking on our first day because we don't feel tired, that's going to have an effect later. That's what Ruruka says. I don't feel tired no matter how much I walk, but that only accounts for the physical side. I do feel mentally fatigued. In particular, I feel like the nervousness I feel about being with two girls is intensifying as we get further away from the city. Yes, to be honest, I'm not used to being with girls. Ruruka is so frank and open, that I don't feel too nervous around her. But Chris is different. I don't know if she's not used to being around boys, or if that's just the way she is, but she always talks to me like she's shy and like she's constantly stepping back. I can't help but picture a coddled young lady from a rich family. It kind of makes me feel self-conscious too. Ruruka looks at me and nods like she's making fun of me, but at the same time like she's saying she understands. And I also have my wooden sword with me, and I'm being trained hard during our breaks. We should stop for today. And if we're camping here, we should be fine under that tree. We walk towards a tree not too far from the main road, and get ready to spend the night here. Depending on the situation, small groups of people don't usually need to set up tents. Of course, that's a different story in cold regions, but many people in places with a nice temperature feel good spending the night covered with only a robe. This also makes it easier to deal with a sneak attack if that happens. Since Sora isn't used to this, we'll have two people stand watch just for today, while the other rests. But usually we rest better if only one stands watch. We'll try it today, and if there aren't any problems, only one person will stand watch tomorrow. First, we start a fire and take a breather. Chris does it with her basic daily life magic. She teaches me some stuff about it too. Both girls can cook, and they're pretty good at it. I want to assume they're being nice and letting me do nothing but watch because they assume I'm tired. Usually when people camp, they have a simple soup and bread. I actually heard that if you have a high-performance magic bag, you can walk around with food you buy in a store, but I don't know how true that is. How much are they? They're usually sold in auctions, so their prices skyrocket. There are cheap magic bags too, but even those tend to cost around 50 gold coins. Apparently those can fit the contents of 5 barrels. Some people also find them in treasure chests in dungeons. Do they get more expensive the bigger their capacity? Isn't there anything like storage magic? There is storage magic in spatial magic. Apparently how much the user can carry is dictated by the amount of magic energy the user holds. But there aren't many people that can use spatial magic. That's why they're usually invited to higher ranking parties even if they can't fight at all. Spatial magic. I have skill points, so should I learn it? Do you need to have aptitude for it? How do you check if you can use it? It is possible to check your aptitude if you go to a church. If you learn you have the aptitude for it, it will come to you naturally, and if you continue to use it, you will learn new spells. Also, there are things called magic scrolls that will allow you to learn magic even if you don't have the aptitude for it. Apparently I need to give alms if I want to look this up. Magic scrolls are expensive too, so most adventurers don't even use them if they find them in dungeons, and sell them instead. I hear that at some point there was a rumor that the magic state of Ifar successfully developed magic scrolls, but apparently no one talks about it anymore. I think learning magic naturally once you know you have aptitude is the equivalent of learning it by using skill points. I think people learn new spells by using magic because their proficiency increases and so does their magic level. Haven't you ever done it, Sora? I've never checked it in a church. I guess I can use new spells because my magic level increases. When Chris hears this, she tilts her head like she's confused. I don't know if magic has levels. It might have, but there is no way to check. Haven't you ever heard the word status open? Status open? I have not. Yes. I see you're having fun talking, but Chris needs to rest for a while. You can continue when you're keeping watch together. Just don't forget to watch out for threats too, says Rurika, and Chris' face turns red before she covers it with her hood and lies down on a sheet. I've never seen Chris talk that much to anyone other than me. It does feel like she's pretty shy. Some people just aren't good at talking. That's not it. Well, I do feel a bit lonely, like she's been taken from me. But seeing Chris have fun talking like that makes me happy, so feel free to keep talking to her. I approve of your friendship. But if you hurt her, I will never forgive you. Right? Yep. Her smile is scaring me. That being said, while we did talk normally, we were talking about magic. Chris probably loves magic, so she gets excited talking about it. But still, you can use basic daily life magic. How did you learn it? I don't really remember. A lot happened, so I don't remember that time very well. I try to sidestep this topic. Even I know this isn't a good excuse, but it's hard to explain that I was summoned from another world. No. If there are records of summoned heroes defeating the Demon King, maybe people also know about people from another world. But I don't think I shouldn't talk about that now. I might actually end up involving them, although there's a chance that just being together like this is already involving them. I really wish those people just forget about me, or that even if they don't, they just leave me alone. I won't bother them either. Chris knows a lot about magic, even spells she can't use herself. You should ask her more about it if you're interested. I will do that. It should help me to know what skills I can learn. And then, we keep watch and continue talking to make sure we stay awake, but quietly enough that it doesn't bother Chris rest. Eventually, Chris takes over from Rurika, and I ask her more about magic. What kind of magic exists, and what spells different elements have. Chris tells me she spends her days off in the reference room of the guild or in the library reading books about magic, and books about fairy tales and myths. And she's always studying things like how to take monsters apart, what parts we need to take to prove we took them down, and what materials can become items too. And when Rurika wakes up, it's my turn to rest. I lay down on a sheet, close my eyes, and chant status open. Name, Sora Fujimiya. Job, jobless, no level. HP, 220. MP, 220. SP, 220. Strength. 210, +1. Stamina. 210, +1, agility. 210, +1, magic power. 210, +1, dexterity. 210, +1, luck. 210, +1, skill, walking. LV21, effect, user won't get tired no matter how much they walk. Get 1 experience point with each step. Experience points, 1192. 22,000. Skill points, 5. Skills learned. Appraisal. LV5. Appraisal. Obstruction. LV4. Sword Master. LV3. Physical strengthening. LV5. Presence detection. LV4. Magic energy control. LV4. Basic daily life magic. LV4. New spatial magic. LV1. Parallel thinking. LV1. Natural recovery boost. LV1. I use 3 skill points to learn spatial magic. LV1, parallel thinking. LV1, and natural recovery boost. LV1. That leaves me with 2. The first thing that happens when I learn spatial magic is that now I can use storage magic. Its proficiency increases by putting things in this spatial storage, and it's basically the magic version of an item bag. Since my level is so low, I have very limited space. If I go over the capacity of my level, I'll be constantly spending MP to maintain it, and apparently what I stored jumps out when my MP runs out. Proficiency doesn't just increase when I store things, just having something here at all times increases it too. I can only store inorganic material, so that rules out living beings. Things that degrade over time degrade at about the same speed too. Due to my low level, parallel thinking allows me to think about more than one thing at a time. I was thinking about how I could use presence detection while sleeping here, and figured parallel thinking should do the trick. Natural recovery boost is good to speed up the recovery of HP, MP, and SP. The HP part accelerates natural healing abilities. The MP part makes it easier to recover MP spent using magic, and the SP part hastens the recovery of SP spent using things like skills. In the end, I think I can use presence detection while sleeping, thanks to parallel thinking. I sort of get a faint feeling that it's active, but since nothing happens while the 2 girls are keeping watch, I can't say for sure that it works. We're done having breakfast, and it's time to get moving again. The mountain I see in the distance still looks the exact same. Walking along this grassy plain with such good visibility for so long is actually making me sick of walking. We talk while we walk to distract ourselves, but we can't let our guard down either. Of course, my presence detection is active too. We keep walking without encountering any unforeseen issues, and we finally reach the village 2 days later. In the meantime, we agreed to switch to a system of 1 person keeping watch at night while 2 rest. This is in part because I'm getting used to keeping watch, but also because the 2-person system was putting too much strain on Chris. And it also lets me test using presence detection with parallel thinking. Do you have any business with this village? We are adventurers, and we accepted a quest from the guild to hunt goblins. Rurika shows her guild card and explains why we are here to the wary gatekeeper. He calls someone to take over from him, and shows us to the residence of the village chief. But I notice that he seems restless on the way there. You can hear the rest from the chief. He calls the village chief, and leaves like he's running away. Adventurers. The village chief apologizes, and explains that when they first put out a quest with the guild, the number of goblins was estimated to only be around 10, but their attacks on the village have become more frequent, and they have learned that there are more than they initially thought. At least more than 20. Yes, we reinforced the fence around the village since they were first spotted, and that has helped us guard the village, but we haven't been able to fully defend it, and we have only managed to hold on by abandoning livestock when things get dangerous. When was the last time you were attacked? 2 days ago. We managed to defeat them at first, but their numbers are growing and the damage they cause is increasing. We are completely on the defensive now. I see. Then we'll rest for today. If we go to the forest now, it will be dark by the time we get there, so we should go tomorrow morning. You can wake us up if there is an attack today. And about the reward. Don't worry about it, but I will say one thing. Some adventurers will leave when they're not happy with the reward, so be careful about that. We're putting our lives on the line here. and depending on the circumstances, sometimes people decide it's not worth it. Yes, thank you. There isn't an attack today, but a group surrounding and watching the village from afar triggers my presence detection. We're going to where the goblins were seen, but they might pass by us and attack while we're away, so don't let your guard down. Rurika tells the gatekeeper, who nods deeply. I'll go in front, Chris will be in the middle, and Sora, you cover our back. Like I told you on the way here, goblins are sly, so be careful. They're weak, so they had to become smart to survive. Monsters that are strong like ogres charge with their overwhelming strength, but goblins don't have that, so they often use tricks. Of course, there are differences between individuals, and not every ogre is dumb. As we walk, my presence detection picks up one goblin near us, and it's getting closer. After we take a few more steps, Rurika stops, and gives us a hand signal. I walk in front of Chris, and Rurika's presence disappears as she walks away. My presence detection picks up goblins, but we still walk while being careful about our surroundings. What we really have to be scared of are traps. We have to be careful about our footing, and even tree branches too. With every step, we're getting closer to the goblin. By the time we're close enough that I can feel its presence in my skin, the presence of the goblin hiding behind a large tree vanishes. I can see Rurika with a sword in hand, pierced in the back of the goblin. I'm going to continue moving on my own, and you two keep walking. We're not in a hurry, so take your time. Just don't go any further than what I told you earlier, she says before she takes off running. She's fast. I start walking again, while being mindful of Chris. 5 goblin presences come and go in the meantime, even though the two of us haven't done any fighting yet. It seems the rest are gathering, and there are about 20 goblins left. It's not that far from what the village chief told us. They're in kind of an open area, and there are about 20 of them I guess. First, I'll appear from the right and draw their attention, and then you attack them with magic, Chris. I'll charge at them at the same time, and then Sora can attack too. Goblins are small, so don't do big swings. Rurika gets into position, and gives us a sign. Chris starts chanting right away. Just before Chris finishes, Rurika jumps out and throws a knife. They're completely in sync after being together for so long. The moment the goblins turn their attention to Rurika, Chris' area effect magic bursts. Since we're in a forest, she uses a tornado wind spell. Fire magic is more powerful, but she doesn't want to use it here. Oops, this is no time to stand here and watch. I also attack the confused goblins. Goblins are as small as kids, but they're as strong or even stronger than an adult. They're not to be underestimated. I close the distance, attack once, and hit vital organs with a second attack and take down a goblin. I try to use that momentum to attack for a third time, but quickly shift to dodging instead. 2 goblins are attacking me from both sides at the same time. I block one, throwing off its stance, and slash the other. As I look for my next target, I see an archer taking aim at Chris. I pick up the stick the goblin I took down was holding and throw it. Even if it doesn't hit, it should at least distract it. The sound of the stick hitting the ground makes the goblin miss with the arrow that was aimed at Chris. I run towards it and slash it before it can get ready to fire another one, and receive a blow from a blind spot. I felt an impact, but it was softened by my clothes. From there, it's a mess. I'm careful to position myself in a way that I don't get surrounded, and in a way that prioritizes defense rather than taking down enemies. Meanwhile, Rurika and Chris are whittling down their numbers. The last goblin is defeated by Chris' magic, and the short fight against the goblins, that felt long to me, is over. The moment I realize this, my body collapses. I didn't take damage, but I feel like all the strength left my body. I'm breathing heavily, and sweat is gushing out of my entire body. Nice job. Wait, you're hurt a bit. Are you alright? I touch my forehead with my hand, and see blood. It doesn't really hurt, so even though there's blood, it's not that serious. I don't even remember getting hit, so it must have been just a scrape. It's just a little cut. It's fine. I see. Chris, take care of that. Ah, but you don't have to use healing magic. Chris casts purification on the wound to disinfect it, and wraps it with a bandage. Since it's a small wound, it's better to let it heal naturally, rather than with healing magic. I'm told it would be different if we were in a dungeon or we were in a hurry, but this quest is over, so it can heal on its own. Yes, Chris is good at treating wounds, so don't worry. Now let's get the parts we need to prove we took them down, the magic stones, and burn the rest. The parts we need to prove we took down goblins are ears, and they have no materials that can be sold, so it's common to retrieve magic stones, and burn the rest. Leaving corpses lying around can lead to them becoming undead, and their corpses can attract other monsters that then stay here. We pile up the corpses, and Chris burns them with magic. Now all we have to do is report back to the village. We show the parts to prove we took down the goblins, and the village chief thanks us again and again. We're invited to a celebratory banquet that night, and the villagers also thank us for ridding them of the goblin threat. Kids ask us to tell them about our battle with the goblins, but to be honest, I was so entranced while fighting that I don't really remember it. Rurika puts on a performance that would put actors to shame, and exaggerates the story just a bit, but the kids all listen to her with a spark in their eyes. The adults also laugh as they listen. We leave the village, and it takes us 3 days to return to the capital. In the meantime, I kept fighting Rurika with wooden swords. Sora, are you alright? When we enter the guild to report that we completed our quest, Makaru speaks to me with a worried tone. I have a bandage on my head, but the wound is pretty much gone. Part of the reason why I still have it on is because Chris was concerned and wrapped it for me, but also because I have something in mind. They were pretty strong. I could fight them one-on-one, but it was kind of tough to keep fighting against multiple goblins. We report that there were more goblins than the request stated. Deliver the parts to prove we took them down and the magic stones. And since we have no materials to sell, we can settle everything here without having to go to the purchasing counter. Oh, and what happened with that wolf pack? Asks Rurika, and we're told they've been successfully hunted. Just as they thought, there was a unique specimen leading the pack, but it was quickly dealt with by multiple B and C rank parties. Normally that would be overkill, but they decided to throw a lot of fighting power at this problem and settle it quickly because it was so close to the city. However, the ecology of the forest has been damaged a little, so people are being told they should avoid it for the time being. We're also being told to be more careful if we accept quests to pick medicinal herbs. I check the quests on the wall before we leave, and after we say goodbye, we check to see if there's room in our respective inns. It turns out the 3 of us managed to stay in our inns again with no problem. The innkeeper is surprised to see me back with a bandage on my head, but I quickly explain that it's the just in case. After taking it easy for 1 day, we meet up to go look at the quests again. Rurika picks quests for beginners that involve defeating monsters, and we start following a routine of leaving early in the morning, completing a quest, and returning that same day. We hunt various monsters. The first time I see a bug-type monster, a chill runs down my spine. I'm really not good with those, but I have to get used to it. Although I'll probably run away if I come across one of those while I'm alone, and it's not the actual target of my quest. Animal-type monsters are relatively profitable, because their fur is valuable. Some have weird quirks and can be hard to beat, but aren't that big of a deal if I remain cool. A lot of them are edible, so taking them apart can become more troublesome than fighting them. Since not only Rurika but also Chris are doing it, I can't just throw this meat away, and instead work silently. I'm seriously considering looking for and learning a skill to take monsters apart. We also go out to pick materials, and they're surprised when I start using appraisal. Of course, since I'm keeping appraisal a secret, I lie and say I'm just confident in my memory. The more we work together, the more the jealous stares turn lukewarm, like they're just watching over us. I guess when they see Rurika giving me instructions, it feels more like a big sister teaching her little brother. Sometimes people even wish me good luck. We keep accepting various quests, my pockets get fuller, and my guild rank goes from E to D. It's around this time that Rurika and Chris are also promoted to rank C. This also means it's time to say goodbye, but something crosses my mind. So we'll be leaving in 5 days. Are we going to rest in the meantime? Accept quests? Rurika asks. Probably to Chris and not me. Her eyes are on an escorting quest. It's a one-way trip that will take 10 days. and it says people can accept even if they don't have a carriage. The destination listed is close to the Beast Kingdom of Layth, so they're going to head that way when they're done. Chris looks at me like she's thinking about something. She's probably remembering that being promoted in rank and accepting an escorting quest means it's time to break up our temporary party. Then Rurika, about that escorting quest. Can I accept it with you too? Both Rurika and Chris are surprised to hear me say this. I don't know what an escorting quest is like, but if it's alright with you, I want to do it while you teach me about it, assuming I won't get in your way, of course. We told you before, we're going to the Beast Kingdom of Layth. That means we won't come back here together. Yes, apparently I can take a horse pass between towns and cities, so worst case scenario, that's how I'll come back. There are different quests in guilds in different cities, right? I want to see what they're like. Then let's check if we can accept it as a 3-person party. Apparently it's a medium-sized caravan, so they're probably looking for a lot of people. We bring an escorting quest to Makaru, and she seems kind of worried. I'm sure it's because other guild employees and adventurers already knew about Rurika and Chris, and they had already declared that they would be leaving to another country when they were promoted in rank. That means I have to tell Makaru what I just told Rurika and Chris. I go back to the inn to tell the innkeeper about this too, and then we go meet the person that put out the request to confirm the details. We buy what we need, and since I have some free time, I accept delivery quests to level up. Making some extra money doesn't bother me either. Now that I think about it, I haven't been here, have I? The 4th quest takes me to an area I hadn't been to before. I avoided this because I heard it's less safe. I just happened to find someone I've met before, who tells me this area is centered on the Pleasure Quarter. He wishes me good luck with a big smile, and leaves. Pleasure Quarter. So nighttime activities? It looks like some places are open during the day too. I look around while checking the map, when suddenly I feel my sleeve being pulled. When I turn to look, I see someone I know, but didn't expect to find here. What are you doing here? I hear this person's voice, that sounds lower than usual. When in doubt, ask a question back, but I feel like that's not a good move here. I can't see them because of the hood, but I'm sensing something from those eyes. Something much like bloodlust. I don't think I did anything wrong, but I'm getting chills. I'm here on a delivery quest. Why are you here, Chris? I stuttered. This strange feeling of nervousness makes my mouth dry. I'm looking for someone. Looking for someone? Yes. We stand out too much here, so let us talk somewhere else. Can you wait a moment? I'm going to deliver this. I start walking, and Chris follows me. No, I really am just here to deliver something. I'm not going somewhere weird. I finish my delivery, and the person that accepts it looks at me oddly. We didn't walk much, but I'm tired. Greater than I still have one delivery quest to do, so I ask Chris if I can do that in the meantime. My destination is on the way to the inn, so I take what needs to be delivered and deliver it. Do you always do this? Haven't you ever done it? I have. In the town where I registered as an adventurer, delivery quests were few and popular. Apparently in small towns with a lot of new adventurers, people compete for delivery quests. Big cities like the capital are the complete opposite. Adventurers that got at least somewhat strong in their hometowns come here in part to test their strength, so they don't go out of their way to accept delivery quests. It's not like no one does them, but the city is so big that the demand is much larger than the offer. They're pretty helpful for me, even though, if someone asks me if I can live off this alone, I can only answer no. Still, with my skill, I have no complaints. If I did these quests without it, I would only do one every day, 2 at most. In a way, a skill that makes it so I don't get tired when I walk really is extraordinary. In a world without the locomotion power of a place like Earth. There are horses and carriages, but they are out of the reach of an average person. We stop by the inn where Chris and Rurika are staying, meet up with Rurika, and head to a cafe. Apparently they've been here a few times, and we're led to a private room. Now that I think about it, I've never just relaxed in a cafe in this world. Part of it is because I can't afford to spend money like this, but also because I just don't have the time. I want to lead a more relaxed life. So, I came here like you asked. What's going on? I kind of met Chris in the pleasure quarter. Pleasure quarter? Chris, you were over there? Rurika looks at Chris with an accusing stare, but that soon fades away and is replaced by Rurika patting Chris' head like she's saying it can't be helped. Fine, then. You explain it, Chris. Yes, we told you we have been accepting quests and walking around the country. That is because we are looking for our friends. Chris stops for a second, takes a sip of her juice, and continues. The first town attacked by the Empire was the one where we lived. We were still young, so when we were told to run away, we all dispersed and ran off without thinking. We managed to reunite with some friends after that, but there were also friends we never saw again. We are traveling to look for said friends. People who weren't killed back then were enslaved. They called them spoils of war, and when the ceasefire was called, they weren't liberated. After we became adventurers, we went to the Empire first. We look human, so we walked around without any problems, but we didn't find them there, and so we came here. We heard there's a slave auction near the capital's pleasure quarter. And you didn't find them? Yes, but I figured since we will be leaving this country soon, I would check one last time. And I went to ask something. She says she gave them a bribe to contact the guild if they had any information about the people they're looking for. Showing weakness to Slavers might mean getting taken advantage of when it's time to buy. But Chris figured it was time to stop caring about that. Chris has taken a liking to you, Sora, so I actually wanted you to stay with us for a bit longer, but we have a goal to accomplish. Rurika, don't be shy. And we're looking for two people, a beast person and an elf. This might be rude, but can I ask something? A question pops into my mind as they talk. You're assuming the people you're looking for are alive, but do you have any proof, at the very least? They don't believe their friends are dead, or they wouldn't go around the world looking for them. But if I got separated from someone in a battlefield, would I be certain they weren't dead? We know because of these amulets. We weren't sure if it was true back then, but it tells us. We would have no answer if you asked us how we know, but we simply do. The old lady said they're spirit amulets. Both hold up similar amulets, and look at them lovingly. They say this lady was bad-mouthed and got angry a lot, but she loved children from the bottom of her heart, and protected them until the very end. They seem very troubled as they talk about this. It's like they have mixed memories that stop them from being completely frank with their praise. I see. And what about distinctive features? No, I guess that wouldn't matter since you all grew up. Can you tell me their names at least? I'm planning on walking all over the place, so I might meet them on my travels. And about those amulets' features, are there more like them? There are other amulets with the same shape, but this pattern is an original, so I don't think there are more than 4 in the whole world. It's like a set of 4. The beast person's name is Sarah, and the elf's name is Eris. They tell me more about them too. Sarah is an easygoing beast person, and Eris has a strong sense of responsibility, and was basically the big sister in this group of 4. They tell me more about them, seeming very nostalgic, and sounding like they could never forget about their time together. Name: Sora Fujimiya. Job: jobless. Race: otherworlder. No level. HP: 260. MP: 260. SP: 260. Strength. 250 +1. Stamina. 250 +1. Agility. 250 +1. Magic power. 250 +1. Dexterity. 250 +1. Luck. 250 +1. Skill: walking LV25. Effect: user won't get tired no matter how much they walk. Get 1 experience point with each step. Experience points: 7,826,000. Skill points: 6. Skills learned: appraisal LV6. Appraisal obstruction LV4. Parallel thinking LV3. Sword master LV4. Physical strengthening LV5. Presence detection LV6. Natural recovery boost LV2. Magic energy control LV5. Basic daily life magic LV5. Spatial magic LV2. I check my skills again. I don't think I'll need new skills when we're doing our escorting quest. but I'll have to be ready when I'm left by myself. I'm planning on acting alone. I could follow Rurika and Chris, but I learned a few things after raising my presence detection level, and I decided that going with them is dangerous. But then what should I do? I think about this while checking the skills I can learn. Presence concealment makes it so others can't detect my presence. Apparently it also depends on their power. Alchemy allows me to use materials to create items. Using MP makes the quality of the final product better. I think that's enough for now. But something catches my eye. The cooking skill lets me use materials to make nice food. Is it like an assist feature? It won't be useful in battle, and I don't know if I can make money with it. But, still, however, if I can cook good food and eat it, won't that lead to an improvement in my life in general? I could do a bit of cooking in the other world, but I wasn't able to do much when I was faced with a wall of ingredients and seasonings. There are a lot of ingredients I don't know about, and I'm not too knowledgeable about seasonings either. After debating it with myself for 30 minutes, I decide to learn the cooking skill. I'm not going to defeat the Demon King anyway, so I might as well make sure I can have a nice life in this world and not die. That means I need the appropriate skills for a pleasant life. At least that's what I tell myself. I start thinking that tomorrow I'm going to work hard and walk again. But I end up not accepting any quests in the 2 days before we leave, and instead buy the remaining things I need, and stay in the inn. I feel like it's a waste to buy medicinal herbs, but I buy them to make potions with alchemy. But in the end, I make potions with low healing power, that's a tiny and small recovery. I put them away using storage magic, which I think I'll nickname Item Box. And maybe I'll start selling them eventually. Maybe I can sell them in small villages, but they might not want to pay much, because there's no way to check for the potion's quality. And in the end, to sell things like potions, I have to register in a guild. But at the very least, I have no intention of doing it in this country. To use presence concealment, I have to erase my presence by holding my breath, which the skill itself teaches me how to do. If I keep using it, its proficiency will go up. I want to be able to use it naturally, but for now, I can only activate it if I really focus. I'll have to rely on parallel thinking to help me with this one too. As for the cooking skill, I ask the innkeeper to let me use the kitchen, and start testing it. At first she watches me from afar, but then she starts teaching me some stuff, and I manage to at least make food that looks presentable. But it's lightly seasoned, and doesn't taste great. Now I have 3 skill points left. I'm thinking it's also about time I learn a job, and since the appraisal skill has been leveling up, I'm starting to be able to read what appears when I select a job. I should be able to read everything if I level up a bit more, so I'll pick a job then. I hope I can change jobs after I pick one. If I'm stuck with the first one I pick, I get the feeling I'll regret it. Actually, is there a temple or something like that in this world where I can change jobs? After finishing having breakfast, I go with Rurika and Chris to the place where we agreed to meet. It's a little earlier than the appointed time, but the caravan of the merchant that put out the quest is already here. We greet the merchant, meet up with the other escorting adventurers, and do the final checks. 5 adventurer parties will be coming this time. 3 C-rank parties and 2 D-rank parties. One of the D-rank parties reports that this will be their first escorting quest. The last time we met, we talked about who would be leading us adventurers, and a veteran adventurer party known as Goblin's Grief will be taking that role. I ask them why they named their party that, and they say that when they were just starting out, more experienced adventurers gave them that nickname half-mockingly. They look into the distance and sound resigned when they say this. My instincts tell me not to press further and ask why they got that nickname in the first place. Well then everyone, we will be in your care. Dalton, the leader of the caravan, gives the order, and we're off. 7 wagons run forward in a line. Each has 2 or 3 adventurers, and the 3 of us are riding in the 3rd wagon. On the odd-numbered wagons, adventurers are looking around on top of the canopy. Since this is my first time traveling by wagon, Rurika is the first one to go up and be on alert. She says that people often get sick the first time they ride on a wagon, so I should get used to it first. It really is different from Earth's cars. It shakes a whole lot. These wagons don't have suspension, so the vibrations are transmitted directly to us. My butt hurts, but thanks to natural recovery boost, the pain quickly starts subsiding, and then it starts hurting again. Is this actually an easy way to increase proficiency? Nothing happens in the first 4 days of travel, and we safely reach the town that will be a stopping point for us. There is business to be done here, and we're also staying the night to have a chance to rest. The real escorting work begins from this point forward. The way to the first town is relatively close to the capital, so there aren't many bandits. If there were a lot of problems, there's a good chance that the army, or rather, a Cheval Recorder would mobilize. That area is very tightly controlled, so not many people are foolish enough to commit acts of banditism in a place like that. As for monsters, being close to the capital also means there are a lot of quests to hunt them, so there are always few monsters because they get hunted if their numbers start increasing. It's the first town I've traveled to, so I go to the Adventurer Guild with Rurika and Chris to check out what kind of quests they have. Unlike the capital, this town is small, so there aren't many quests. There are only a few hunting quests and quests to do errands around town. That's probably why I don't see many adventurers either. The next day, we set out as the sun rises. From this point on, there are a few spots where we will be passing close to the forest. This is the type of place where monsters and bandits appear, so be careful, warns Siphon, the leader of Goblin's Grief, just before we leave. That's directed mostly at me and the D-rank party that's doing their first escorting quest. I climb to the top of the canopy, and look around with my presence detection active. It will be 3 days until we arrive at the first spots, but that's no reason to let my guard down. There are other merchants and wagons coming from the opposite direction, and I feel nervous for the first time since we started this escorting quest. Our wagons move to the side of the road and stop for the 3 wagons coming the other way to pass. There are 2 people in the driver's seat, who look like they're adventurers. I don't see merchants, so are they inside? In this world it's not uncommon for bandits to pretend to be merchants to get closer and do a sneak attack, so unless there are known faces in the other group, people can't let their guard down when another group of merchants passes by them. Wagons are especially dangerous, because they could be packed with people instead of goods. Everyone raises their guard, but I'm less nervous. I can tell what's inside the wagons via my presence detection, but I can't say it, so I just pretend to be as wary as everyone else. As the sun starts to go down, we leave the main road and get ready to set up camp. I help the merchants tend to the horses by giving them food and water, casting purifying magic on them, and brushing them. This way, they'll keep doing their best for us tomorrow. I want to take care of horses in preparation for when I use horses to move around. They let me do it mostly because I can use basic daily life magic. Rurika and Chris are preparing the food. This is in part because they're the best cooks among the adventurers here, but also because even in a different world, people want to eat girls cooking. There are 2 other female adventurers with them, and they're having fun talking while they cook. Mostly just Rurika. Everyone else is either patrolling around or setting up tents with crisp movements. Everyone knows the sooner they're done, the sooner they get to rest. When it's time to eat, we all split into groups. We mostly eat with the merchants that shared wagons with us, but there's some rotation too. Merchants talk about their troubles while we eat, the towns they've been to, and their dreams for the future. I get to hear all sorts of things I didn't know, so it's fun for me. When that's over, it's time to keep watch in shifts. I look up and see the stars. It's cliché, but I can only describe this feeling as drowning in a sea of stars. This feeling doesn't go away no matter how many times I see this sight. I hope tomorrow is as peaceful as today, I think, as I rest in my tent until it's my turn to keep watch. After our lunch break, the wagons start moving again. Our journey is going perfectly, and nothing's happened so far. Is this the calm before the storm? There's a forest to our right and a rocky mountain to our left, and I can feel a lot of presences deep inside the forest. They're too far to see with the naked eye. If I say something about them, we can start preparing, but it will be hard to answer if they ask me why I know. Will they even understand what I'm talking about if I tell them it's because of a skill I have? No, That's just an excuse. I just can't let others know about the skills I have, and that includes Rurika and Chris. All I can do is count on the ranger in the wagon that's leading the way. As we get closer, the reaction gets stronger, and I grab my weapon without thinking. Hey, what's that? All of a sudden, did you see something? The merchant sitting next to the driver's seat sees me doing this, and asks me about it. The place we talked about is just up ahead, so I say to try to evade his question. He laughs it off, because he knows it's my first escort inquest. I definitely sense something. I try looking for presences again as the forest is within my sight, and sense a lot deep inside it. They seem to be moving, but they're not coming this way. Apparently what I'm sensing are wolves, about 20 of them. But as Rurika watches this back and forth, she sounds her alarm, seemingly sensing something. The line of wagons stops, and we hear a loud stir in the forest. The wolves change direction and they all jump out of the forest. Wolves, prepare your spells. Wait. Something's there. A tiger elf? Something else jumps out, like it's chasing the wolves. It's a large beast that's twice the size of a wolf. Its fangs that are larger than knives immediately draw my attention. But the real danger is in the claws of its front legs, which are said to be able to shatter even a shield. There's still some distance between them, but it's fast. At this rate, it's going to catch up with the wolves. So that's what was going on. The wolves are being chased by the tiger elf. What do we do? Magic users, prepare your spells. Blow those wolves away once they get a little closer. Everyone else, get ready to intercept them. Us, Goblin's Grief, will take on the tiger elf. Everyone else hunt the surviving wolves. Siphon gives instructions. He specifically tells the D-ranked adventurers to move away from the tiger elf, and they oblige without any complaints, because they're aware of their own strength. There are two parties, so one is instructed to guard the merchants. We'll hunt wolves too. We'll draw them away from the tiger elf to make it easier for you. Sora and the others, go look after the merchants too. I'm leaving that to you. Siphon tells us to go guard the merchants. Rurika hesitates at first, but follows the commands of the leader. Magic is activated and fired on the wolves. They're focusing on wind and water magic because they're purposely choosing magic that makes as little noise as possible. In the meantime, the wagons are circled like when he camp, and the horses are given calming herbs to prevent them from getting too excited and rampaging. Rurika tells me to get on the canopy, and I do so. The magic attack throws the wolves into disarray, and the tiger elf catches up to them and opens its mouth widely to bite at them. Its sharp fangs easily pierce one of the wolves, and blood sprays. I hear what sounds like the wolf shrieking, and the rest abandon it, running away from the left and right of the tiger elf. The C-ranked adventurers quickly deal with this, blocking the wolves like they read the future. When did they even get so close? The tiger elf starts groaning as it sees this, probably thinking they're there to steal its prey, but before it can jump at the adventurers, magic is fired at it. The timing is off, and although 2 or 3 spells are fired at it, it easily dodges them. Apparently it's magic that prioritizes activation speed rather than power, to keep enemies in check. Meanwhile, Siphon gets close and attacks the tiger elf. The tiger elf lightly dodges this attack, and jumps at Siphon, who got within its reach. An adventurer holding a shield switches places with Siphon and blocks the sharp claws. Apparently he specializes in using a shield, because he's holding it with both hands and he doesn't have a weapon. No, that's not it. It feels like he equipped just a shield specifically to be able to withstand the attacks of the tiger elf. But he strikes with the shield from time to time, and doesn't forget to draw its attention. The battle with the tiger elf has reached a stalemate. In the meantime, the rest of the adventurers are hunting the wolves. C-ranked adventurers have no trouble disposing of them, and they're all being killed one after the other. But wolves that the D-rank party were fighting managed to slip through and come this way. Are they trying to escape from the tiger elf? Trying to use us to relieve the stress from being chased away? Did they instinctively sniff out non-combatants? I don't know, but they're headed right for us. Wolves run and jump this way, and Rurika kills one with one slash after dodging them. The remaining 2 are dealt with by the other D-ranked party and their unrefined but still well-matched combination. They're not unharmed, but didn't suffer any serious injuries either. I was trying to come down from the canopy when the wolves were coming, but I was stopped, so I've been cautiously looking around. As far as my eyes can see and my presence detection can feel, there aren't any more enemies. All that's left is the tiger wolf, and as neither side can finish off the other, the battle ends with the tiger wolf's retreat. Join my Patreon to support me and read ahead. As we take apart the wolves we took down, Dalton and the other merchants discuss with Siphon what to do next. The problem is the tiger wolf that ran away. We let it get away, but they say it's strange that it came so close to the road in the first place. Let's advance as much as we can today. Please be aware that means moving forward as far as we can even after the sun has gone down. We will have the horses run as fast as they can, to put as much distance as possible between us and the forest. Dalton gives the command, and the wagons start moving again. It really is strange for a tiger wolf to come to the outer edge of a forest. If it ran away after losing a turf war, that means something even more threatening is in the forest. And if it came here because it wasn't finding prey, that means the forest's ecosystem is crumbling. According to what I read before, tiger wolves are usually sighted deep inside the forest. They are pretty smart, and make the decision to run away when they realize they are at a disadvantage, so they're said to be monsters that are difficult to hunt. Of course, that's also because they're strong. Because of this, their fur sells at high prices to rich people looking for luxury items. I guess those patterns and colors really do look nice. Today we're advancing for a while longer even after the sun has set. We end up making camp when the horses stop moving. We take care of the horses, quickly prepare our dinner and eat, and decide to have more people keeping watch. Worst case scenario, people will have to sleep while we're on the move again tomorrow. We can hear howling in the distance from time to time, and I see some people flinch when it happens. But it can't be helped. And me, I rest well. Probably because I have presence detection. It seems people are split between thinking I'm brave or stupid. My excuse is that I'm tired because seeing a tiger wolf for the first time made me so nervous. After a night shrouded with tension, we silently eat breakfast and leave. Some people have bags under their eyes because they couldn't rest well. Rurika and Chris are used to traveling, but they also look tired, so I tell them to rest. I'm going on top of the canopy today. I feel more wind than usual, and it feels like the clouds are passing by us more quickly. I can see black clouds in the distance. I'm just now noticing that it hasn't rained since I came to this world. Is this a region where it doesn't rain a lot? Is it not a rainy season? Does it just not rain at all? I don't know, but the fact that I'm just now noticing something that wasn't on my mind at all makes me realize I probably had more on my mind than I thought. I'm probably missing a lot of things that are common sense in this world. But I can't just casually ask either. I'm sure if I do, people will just ask me what I'm talking about. Half a day passes, and so does the heavy mood, as we can clearly see some distance between us and the forest. It feels liberating. But still, a tiger wolf. We should report this when we get to town. There was a pack of wolves near the capital too, so this could all be an omen. There hasn't been a demon attack in a while. Do you think that could be related? I don't know. But you can never be too careful. We should at least form a reconnaissance team. It would be great if we could hunt it, but we need to at least push it back or we won't feel safe crossing through here. What's worse is the idea that there could be something that pushed the tiger wolf all the way here. Worst case scenario, we have to go back to the capital through an alternate route. I listened to Siphon and the others talking. We managed to fight the monster back because we have the numbers and everyone handled it well. But we're told that if we were to encounter it while on our own, we should immediately run away as fast as we can. Tiger wolf hunting quests can be accepted by C-ranked parties and above, but it's customary to only go after it after making thorough advanced preparations. Normally, people make use of traps and magic to make sure it can't get away during their fight, especially since failure to hunt it after accepting the quest results in a penalty. This means people who don't look into what a tiger wolf is like beforehand, often end up failing their quest. We probably wouldn't hunt a tiger wolf. It's not like we're working as adventurers to become known. It would be profitable, but it's best to have a more reliable source of income, says Rurika. Because of our forced march after encountering the tiger wolf, The distance we cover in a single day has gone down drastically. We only reach the town at night, 2 days later than we anticipated. Hey, are you awake? I wake up and see an old man. No, Siphon. It was nighttime when we reached this town, so we couldn't get rooms for everyone. The girls took precedence, and the rest of us were shoved into whatever rooms were left. Did you sleep well? Yes, I'm fine. Sorry for taking the bed. Just getting to rest in a room is good enough. Yes, since there weren't enough rooms, I ended up sleeping on a sheet on the floor. Normally this wouldn't be allowed, but Dalton knows the innkeeper, so he made an exception just for today. We stop to have breakfast in the dining room, and then the adventurers go to the Adventurer Guild, and the merchants to the Merchant Guild. The quest actually ends here, so we go our own separate ways. We collect our reward for the escorting quest in the guild, and sell materials from the wolves we took down along the way. Their food supplies are running low, so the fact that we're bringing some meat means we get some nice extraordinary revenue. Well then, you're all dismissed. We are going to report to the guild about the Tiger Wolf. Let's work together sometime if we have the opportunity. Dismissed. With Siphon's words, every party goes its own way. First, I ask the guild what inns they recommend, and check if I can stay there. The inn I slept in last night is available, but it's a bit too expensive. Even if I end up having to stay there, I want to minimize the cost if I can. They tell me about an inn that's 2 copper coins a night. I pay for 10 days, Rurika and Chris for 5, and we secure rooms for ourselves. We should rest today. What are you going to do, Sora? I'm going to check out what kind of quests the guild has. This place is not as big as the capital, but it's still relatively big, and known as the trading city in this country. And I might as well gather some information, if I'm going to stay here for a while. In that case, can I go with you? Sure, but are you sure? I say this out of concern for Chris' physical condition, but she says it's fine if it's only for a while. I look at Rurika, and she asks me to look after her. I return to the guild with Chris, and ask an employee about the area surrounding the town. I spend about an hour asking mostly about monsters and materials like medicinal herbs. Then I go to the board where quests are affixed, and check out what they have. Sora, what are you going to do from now on? I'm going to accept quests in this town for a while. It's pretty far from the capital, so I might as well do some sightseeing too while I'm here. Sightseeing? I'm a little jealous. It can't be helped. You two have a goal. I hope you accomplish it soon. Yes, and if you find your friends, I'd definitely like to meet them. I want to tell them just how much the two of you helped me. Why yes. Oh, a big town like this really has a lot of delivery and miscellaneous quests. I guess I'll start accepting them again. You really like those, don't you? It's because they're safe. I guess some people think they're a huge pain, but walking isn't a big deal for me. We talk for a bit, and then it gets a little awkward. I can see Chris' face turn red as it peeks from under her hood, and I realize I'm being weirdly excited. Are you going back? I'm going to accept delivery quests and walk around town for a while. I say goodbye to Chris, and accept a delivery quest. As I walk around, I check the locations of buildings I might visit while I'm here, like other guilds and weapons and equipment stores. I have lunch at a stall, and I ask questions about this place while also talking about how I came from another city on an escorting quest. Relay City Physis, also known as the Trading City, is a major city in the Kingdom of Elysia, and prospers due to its connection to the capital. There is also a mine near here, so it profits off of doing business with ore too. A village was built near the mine, and apparently there's work over there too. It's not like a dungeon, but I hear monsters frequently appear in the mine too. I heard monsters appear in the mine, but where do they come from? I ask Rurika when we're having dinner. I've heard that dungeons produce the monsters that appear in them, but I'm wondering how monsters get inside mines. I don't know a lot about it either. I have heard about magic energy pools producing monsters. Magic energy pools? Yes. But it is said that the principles of magic energy pools are not very well understood. One theory states that they are related to the phases of the moon. I heard this one is advocated by a famous sorcerer. I've heard that a researcher of that magic state of Ifar announced it. Did you accept a quest in the mine, Sora? I didn't. I just heard that there are hunting quests sometimes, and I was thinking that maybe I'll go if I have the opportunity. We can't say much about it, since we've never done a quest in a dungeon or a mine, but there are all sorts of restrictions, and you have to be careful as you walk around because it can be dangerous. If you're going, you should form a party. I don't have anyone I want to form a party with, so I should probably just do things like collecting medicinal herbs. I'm actually pretty good at that. I agree. You're very good at that. They were surprised when we picked medicinal herbs together. Appraisal is like cheating, so I can't be wrong. Do you have plans for tomorrow, Sora? I'm going to go pick medicinal herbs in the morning. I've been told where they are, so I should be back before noon. I see. Then how about we go shopping after lunch? We need to stock up on items. Yes. Then I'll try to come back as soon as possible. Don't rush yourself too much. Nothing good comes from that. And you need to be especially careful in a new place. I go to the guild early in the morning and accept a medicinal herb picking quest. Magic energy herbs are still bought at a high price. Will they pay a bit more for vitality herbs than they do for medicinal herbs? Today I'm thinking about picking the medicinal herbs I need to complete the quest, and use the rest to practice alchemy. It doesn't make sense to buy medicinal herbs for alchemy when I can just pick them myself. Although I have to resign myself to doing that when I don't have time to spare. Around here, medicinal herbs are picked on a plain. Medicinal herbs seem to be growing as far as the eye can see, but actually, they're hiding among the overgrown weeds. Since there is nothing to identify where they are, there's no other option than to just look for them. That's what raises the difficulty. That probably has to do with why this isn't a very popular thing to do, even though there's demand for it and it's close to town. I concentrate, and look around while activating appraisal. Words appear like speech balloons, showing me the names of the herbs. I pick medicinal herbs, magic energy herbs, and vitality herbs in that order. I see a lot that are still sprouting, but I pick ones that are ready to be picked one after the other. But there are still plenty, probably because not many people come here. I put the medicinal herbs I'm going to deliver in a preservation bag, and put the rest in the item box. I've been using spatial magic this whole time, so it's now level 4. As the level goes up, so does its power to preserve degradable things for longer. Is it right to say time moves slower in the item box? I have some time, so I try doing alchemy. I make potions and stamina potions with medicinal herbs and vitality herbs until I'm out of MP. Magic energy herbs are expensive, so I'll use them when my alchemy level is a bit higher. Also, if there is room in the item box, it won't expel the items inside it even if my MP reaches 0. It's important not to overstuff it. As I use alchemy and see proficiency going up, I notice that how much it goes up varies depending on the materials I use. Does it actually depend on what items I make? There are a lot of items that can be made with alchemy. When I activate the alchemy skill, a list of what I can make pops up inside my head, and by using appraisal here, I can see the materials I need. I can still make them even if I don't have the materials, but if I try to force it to make them, it always ends in failure. Even if I have the right materials, I can create a poor item if my alchemy level isn't high enough. But if my level isn't high enough, I can still sometimes make a good item if I focus and pour in a lot of MP. But there's no guarantee that it will work, and it's pretty much a gamble. And if my level is high enough, and I pour in a lot of MP, I create a good quality item. So far, this has produced 100% good items. But what is this that's being displayed? I'm pretty much done making items for now, so I look at the list of what I can make again. The word new in the middle grabs my attention. I use appraisal on these items, and see align items never before created. They don't have names, but their effects and necessary materials are displayed. Among them, the effect contact people far away catches my eye. Is this like a smartphone? It might be an item with functions similar to a telephone or email. And the items necessary to make it are high-quality magic stone, high-quality ore, and a large amount of magic energy. It's kind of vague. I look at the effects of other items marked with new, and notice they're very similar to things from Earth. Are they based on my knowledge or memories? I use appraisal on the high-quality magic stone listing, and it says magic stones from high-level monsters, or synthesized by combining many magic stones. I check out the list while looking for something, a magic item capable of transmissions. But surely my alchemy level is way too low. But what I find requires a minimum of alchemy level 5, and I'm at level 3. The real problem is the magic stones and ore. Both can be bought in the merchant guild, but I don't know at what cost. Is a magic stone more important than ore for this item? I should go back, check the price, and see if I have the money to buy it. And since I might fail, I should buy spares. I also need to raise my alchemy level. I summarize everything I need in my head. I put the potions I made in the item box, and walk back to town quickly. I don't get the blessing of my walking skill if I run, so I don't run even if I'm in a hurry. I deliver medicinal herbs and vitality herbs to the guild. Then I have lunch with Rurika and Chris, and we go shopping together to buy what we need for our travels. While we're shopping, I neglect to really pay attention to them. Probably because I have alchemy on my mind. Rurika is exasperated and Chris sulks, and they gradually start speaking less. You need to apologize tomorrow and make up for today, Rurika says with kind of a scary face. After we have dinner and before we say goodbye for today,